We are in a blizzard warning from the National Weather Service in Mount Holly. You're in Springfield, Pennsylvania during it is 5:19 Eastern Standard Time. It's in Springfield, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, by the Springfield Mall. For those from the area, it is just off the Blue Route. It's commonly known I-476. We are in a blizzard warning with Weather Service in Mount Holly forecasting amounts from 14 to 20 inches of snow. Kind of at the start of it. It's actually coming down a little heavier than it looks on the video. I'll try to go in a minute here and see if we can get to a little better spot. See a front end loader. Kind of waiting. We have a heavier band. We're in a Mezquita discussion was issued for this area by Storm Prediction Center. There's a looks like much heavier band coming up from our south with this big nor'easter coastal low that's starting to bomb out off the coast. Let's see if we can get to a little better spot here. So we are going to drive to a little better spot here so we can get the mount set up correctly. Okay, good. Thank you. So I was apparently talking to myself because the sound was an issue. I was saying we're in Springfield, Delaware County at the Springfield Mall in suburban Philadelphia under blizzard warning. National Weather Service in Mount Holly is forecasting 14 to 20 inches of snow in this area with winds up to 40, wind gusts up to 45. It's only our third blizzard warning, I believe, in 30 years since the blizzard of 96, which is our benchmark around here. That was 30.7 inches of snow. The two others, I don't believe our President's Day in 2003, I don't think that had a blizzard warning. I was trying to look that up today and I cannot remember, but if memory serves me correctly, that was just a winter storm warning despite having some very big totals of snow. We didn't hit the wind criteria, as I recall. But in February of 2010, the second of the Snowmageddon storms, we had a blizzard warning. I think that was February 10th, if I recall correctly, in 2010. And then in January, I think it was January 25th, 2016, that was that had a blizzard warning as well. Ironically enough, I was not here for that. I was at the National Storm Chaser convention known as ChaserCon out in 70-degree Norman, Oklahoma when that happened. But that was our last 20-inch plus storm in these parts just over 10 years ago. So I can zoom in here and see it's going at a pretty steady clip right now. Heavier snow on the way. There you go, somebody going to the bus stop there. Some heavier bands on the way as this storm, as they say, bombs out. The surface low off the coast gets much stronger in short order. There's definitely a chance for the 18 plus inches in Delaware. I think that's in play. I was thinking a little lower, kind of in the 10 to 15 range just to be conservative, but we're getting pretty good banding right now. So I think that's a real possibility for the 18 plus. See over here, now that I have sound, I can actually explain what's going on. So there's a little more snow on the ground than it's accumulating, despite the fact that temperatures have generally been 33, 34, so slightly above the melting point, freezing point 32. You have evaporational cooling, and the system is dynamic cooling, so it's cooling down the whole column of air, so it's cooled down the surface. And it was snowing heavily enough probably 45 minutes ago where it started to accumulate, maybe a little longer than that, on even paved surfaces. So that'll pick up. There's a bigger band to our south, which is coming up this way. The Storm Prediction Center issued what they call mesoscale discussion, which is a technical discussion they issue when there's kind of a bigger event or a notable you see a lot of times severe weather ahead of watches and warnings, or not warnings, when they're going to issue a watch or thinking of issuing a watch, or for events like winter weather events when there's a heavier area or potential blizzard conditions. And that's what was happening here. So they talked about an inch plus an hour snowfall rates, which is heavy snow. I wouldn't be shocked if we see 2+ inch an hour rates, given the strength of the low. So probably a pretty good sign here that since we changed over fully, maybe a shade earlier than expected. I mean, it was kind of on the borderline, but in terms of actually starting to accumulate, maybe a little on the early end. So I would think here, we're in pretty good shape for to be probably pretty well into double digits. there's been some question on the western side of the storm because of subsidence sinking air. With all the rising air you're getting feeding into it, that's somewhere that has to sink. A lot of times that's how storms bust snow wise in these parts, especially nor'easters. I think that issue, it's kind of very complicated setup with this. You have what's called an inverted Norland trough at the surface to the northwest. There's a lot of moving parts with this storm. So, but I think here we're probably in pretty good shape for a pretty decent number, and it will be interesting to see if we do verify blizzard conditions here as the storm winds up and winds pick up as the evening goes on, especially into the overnight hours. So I'm glad my sound is working at least now. So, not just talking to myself, driving around a snowy parking lot. Trying to zoom in again. This angle probably, if you can zoom in here, gives a better idea of, there's a little lens flare there, so I have to clean the lens, but a little better idea of what's coming down right now. It's interesting the number of people are here at the mall. I didn't think there'd be that many people out. We have one of the towns, we have road restrictions on the highways for commercial vehicles, or several classes of vehicles for the major highways in this part of Pennsylvania, and there's what they call snow emergency routes and the like are supposed to be cleared in some of the towns around here. So I'm a little bit surprised we're seeing as many people at the mall as we are right now, but I guess people are trying to get their stuff before the storm really ramps up. So I'm probably going to kill the live stream for a bit here. I'll be back out later at some point. Don't know if it'll be here or maybe it'll be a little bit east of here. On the kind of familiar with this area, or people from outside the area. It's one of the major arteries called Baltimore Pike. So we're about 10 miles outside of Philadelphia, maybe a little less than that. As things pick up, we'll probably try to bring up the live stream again. So thanks for watching, and I'll try to hop on later.